My name is Jordan Heavenor. I'm a resident of Wakefield, and I'm also the co-director of the Women Project, a statewide grassroots organization dedicated to harnessing the power of art and activism to move positive change to secure women's rights and human rights. I'm here today to express my support for S-152, the Sub-A, the Reproductive Health Care Act. The women of Rhode Island can't afford to wait and see what happens at the federal level. With mounting attacks on abortion access and the shift on the Supreme Court, it is imperative that we take action to ensure that in the state of Rhode Island, we affirm the right to abortion. 46 years ago, the Supreme Court affirmed the right to abortion in the groundbreaking case of Roe v. Wade. Over the years, the case has resulted in legal arguments and policy debates, but for me, this issue is more personal. The people who have worked to push abortion care out of reach seem to forget a simple fact. When abortion care is not legal, it forces many people into desperate and harmful situations. Before Roe and the ability for women to get safe abortion care, every large hospital across the country had a special section for women who were suffering from infection from improperly performed abortions. An estimated 5,000 women a year died. The iconic image of a coat hanger did not happen by accident. Women drank household chemicals or tried to throw themselves downstairs, or in many cases tried to use a sharp item like a coat hanger. This not only resulted in death, but also an infection, in some cases a loss of the ability to have children in the future. As is often the case, women already living on the margins with the least access to care, who were already struggling to get by, were hit hardest. The mortality rate for Black and Hispanic women was 12 times higher than the mortality rate for white women. Women died alone in hotel rooms and dorm rooms. They suffered in silence with complications that resulted in permanent injuries because they were afraid to ask for help. This is what we could face again, and we know who will be hurt the most. Women with money have always been able to get an abortion if they need one. Before Roe, they could find a trained physician who was willing to help for a high price, or they could travel to another country where abortion was available. People without means don't have that option, and undocumented women would not be able to do so, not only for financial reasons, but also the threat of trying to cross borders and being detained and separated from their families. It is women of color and young women, immigrant women, and low-income women who face the greatest risk if we allow the clock to be turned back by an extremist Supreme Court that does not support the right to privacy and the critical right to safe, legal abortion care. Many families have a hushed story of a great aunt who died alone in a dorm room, or a cousin who suffered in silence from permanent injuries from an unsafe, illegal procedure. There were mothers who died from infections in hotel rooms and sisters who could no longer have children after complications from a botched abortion. This is what we could face again if Roe is overturned. The simple fact is that when care is legal and people are able to seek an abortion from a trained provider, the complication rate is less than 1%. Even if someone would not personally seek an abortion, we have to agree that we do not want to go back to women dying in back alleys. The Reproductive Health Care Act would affirm the right to abortion in our state. We have a chance to pass this important legislation this year. If the Supreme Court were to take away protections for the right to abortion, it would punt the question to the state. This means every state would determine if women could get safe and legal care. I don't ever want to live in a community where women have to put their lives at risk because they need to end a pregnancy. We have an opportunity to make sure that in our state that will never happen again. I urge you to support the Reproductive Health Care Act. Thank you for your consideration.